We about to speak at Commissioner's Court. We're in the COVID. Well, my name is RoShawn C. Evans. You're gonna hear me. I'm gonna announce myself when I address the court. But we are in the middle of a pandemic, COVID-19. So we are not actually going into the courtrooms right now. We're doing everything primarily Zoom. People do go down to Commissioner's Court or City Hall, but it's in smaller groups, not for court days. Too many people sign up to speak. I'm going to be talking about a program called the MAC, which is like a independent oversight committee for the judges, court-appointed lawyers, so they don't end up getting overwhelmed with cases. So they have us on a brief break, and they should be coming back in about 1 minute. So I use this time to tell the courts, or get them one way, I should say, to or an idea to where they can decriminalize poverty. This is one of the ways to get a MAC oversight committee.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry they took a little break, but they should be coming back in a minute or two.
Okay, no worries.
Thanks for holding on.
No worries. Yep, so they're probably about to call me after the break. I don't know if they have any speakers ahead of me or anything, but we only get 3 minutes to talk, so. I could tell you one thing. I've never ever in my life felt comfortable in a courtroom with any court-appointed lawyer. To be honest, I never felt comfortable with a paid lawyer. Only one, well, two. I only felt comfortable with 2 lawyers ever in life, but I only had one to help me fight a criminal case. The other was like a traffic ticket. Other than that, I can't say I've ever had a lawyer I felt comfortable with. And yes, I've been to court many times on many different charges, and they say, well, you keep getting in trouble. But it's like once you find yourself in the system, it's easy to stay there. Any and everything you do.
Can you hear me, Judge?
Yep, good to see you guys again.
Can you still hear me?
Yes,
You can still hear me.
I can still hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 8:31, and Commissioner's Court is back in session. Now, we were just going through the supplemental items, and we were about to get to
7, I think.
7. Yeah, Commissioner Ellis.
So, Judge, I put this on the agenda because I'm concerned that we're not following the Fair Defense Act, which I authored 20 years ago in the legislature. In June, Harris County felony judges appointed the Public Defender's Office in only 3% of the cases, even though the office has the capacity to handle 15 to 20% of the cases. If the state law requires that if you don't use the PD office, you have to give a reason
Public defender.
for not doing it. That office is the office that should be preferred office as a preference in state law. I think since the Hinojosa amended the Fair Defense Act with a great amendment about 4 years ago, I think he did it since I left, that provides a preference for using the public defender's office when you have one. And I want Alex Bunnan, or maybe after speakers talk, maybe speak first, give me some sense of that, if it's a problem. I do know that if a grantee, this is in the statute, this is in the act that I passed, if a grantee fails to comply with any term or condition of a grant or rule, the commission may take one or more of the following actions: temporarily withhold all payments pending correction of the deficiency by the grantee, withhold future grants, terminate a grant in whole, impose administrative sanctions, other fines on the grantee. It is a serious problem from a legal standpoint. Not only that, in my judgment, it's a serious problem because the data clearly shows that felony defendants are more likely to exit the criminal justice system without a record of penalty if they're represented by the public defender's office. 37% compared to retained counsel, only 34%, and assigned counsel, 28%. I also listed it on the agenda because I want to get an update on where we are on having a MAC. We could get a grant from the state to have a managed assigned counsel program for our felony judges. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, asked for a dashboard. There was a comprehensive write-up, I think in the New York Times and the Washington Post, about problems with the court-appointed system. I know that a lot of people, particularly during COVID out there, who are hungry, and I'm hearing stories that they're making the case feed the beast, looking for these appointments. It's so unfair to people who are trapped in that system. And in this era of criminal justice reform, we really should be beyond that now. So I want to ask Alex Bunnan and Beth to comment on it, give us some sense of how that dashboard is coming. I want to make sure it's public. I will do everything I can to do something about this inequity. So I'd like to hear from them. Then I know that people signed up.
Alex is unmuted. So is Becky.
Alex.
Okay, Commissioner, it's Alex Bunnan, Harris County Public Defender. I think everything you said I agree with. When I talk to judges, some of whom are my friends, they're often surprised how the low level of appointments they give our office. And I think the problem is they have no way of tracking it. So until I bring it to their attention, some of them don't even know. And that speaks for your issue about managed assigned counsel. If there was some system, then the appointments would be distributed equally. And it's not just between the private lawyers in my office, it's among the private lawyers. There's huge disparities as it gets appointed.
And what do we spend on these private lawyers? Is it almost $40 million a year?
It may be that much now.
My notes say in 2019 it was $34 million a year on appointed counsel.
$34 million.
And obviously, many of these lawyers that are appointed, is it fair to say, many, I don't want to call names out. All I've done it before. We got folks in there who are well over the recommended caseload studies, and they're making $500,000 a year.
$500,000 on court-appointed lawyers.
Is that a fair comment?
Pushing everybody in the plea deals.
Yes, that's a fair comment that appointments are not equally distributed and that some lawyers work at volume rates.
And the change in the law, it was Hinojosa. Was I there when it passed, Senator Hinojosa?
You were in the Senate. It was his bill, though.
And I was still there. So what does it do? And why did he do it, by the way?
Well, he was worried about Hidalgo County. What is that?
That's online meetings for you. I think we figured it out. Go ahead.
Okay.
Alex.
He was worried about Hidalgo County, in which they were not appointing the juvenile public defender. And they had one single juvenile judge there who just was appointing a couple lawyers, a couple private lawyers. And in fact, that was the only case in which the commission actually took money away from a county.
And what did his amendment do? It puts in a reference where you clearly are supposed to your first preference should be the PD office, public defender's office.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
But what is the statutory change? What does that amendment to the Fair Defense Act require?
Well, it requires that we be given priority to be appointed, and if the judge wants to do something otherwise, they have to give a good reason. And all the other exceptions is if it's in contradiction with the county plan, which it's not.
And are the judges given a good reason?
Well, they give no reason. I mean, there's no system to track that. They don't ever give a reason.
And
we have what we call this wheel system. So,
yeah, don't remind me. That's
Yeah,
another issue. How we ought to change the law. I put that wheel in that passed 20 years ago.
right.
I'd be the first one to testify.
Gotta
and say,
put a
"Well,
little
get
bit of
rid
my
it."
personal
So
story
we're always on the wheel.
into this.
So we should get
But I only
equal
get 3
amount of
minutes,
appointments
so.
in every court, but that's not what happened. And in some courts, it was 0 last month.
And you got any ideas of what we can do? I know I'm raising the issue. I know it's 8 something at night, hoping to get some public attention. I don't know what else to do other than say what's not right.
Well, I mean, there are legal instruments. I mean, we could seek to a mandamus. The Dallas Public Defender's Office did that one time, but that's a messy way to do things. I would rather not do that. I would rather that they agree to a system where we get an equitable amount of appointments.
And where are we on the MAC while you're here? It has moved forward.
Yep.
The Mississippi judges have agreed to do it. Go through the selection process to pick someone.
They are.
Felonies could roll in. We could even get a grant. But can you comment on that? Or is that Jim who's trying to work that out?
Well, I'm on the commission, so the grant would go to the commission, and I know the staff members there are working closely with the judges here to try to get that done, but it's not moving very quickly.
Mr. Betsky, do you want to add anything? Alex, anything else you want to add?
No, I just, again, I think it's a systemic problem. It's not like there's any bad faith, but we need to fix the system.
And obviously, so much depends on the quality of representation that somebody has. And I mean, just some of these egregious
Straight.
cases, the stats are here. I put them out. I know when you all do this, I'm going to continue to put it on the agenda to talk about it, hoping to get some press coverage, if nothing else, because it is a pretty sad situation. And if we could, it was the New York Times. If we could end up in the New York Times June 1st, understand that the month of June is 3%, and you've been written about in the New York Times, what are we thinking? After George Floyd, I mean, what else? Only in America.
Well, that's my point. I don't think anybody was thinking. I think it's a matter of changing the system.
Yeah.
Mr. Betsy, anything you want to add?
Commissioner Raddick has a comment. You're muted, Commissioner.
You can hear me, Alex?
I hear you, Commissioner.
Oh, okay, thank you. So
Sorry.
you know, these district court judges are sovereign, the elected officials,
Yes, sir.
and Commissioner's Court. Would you agree? Really we have no power over them. You agree with that?
Other than you own their facilities, no other power.
Wait. Now, you and I both know by state law we have to provide their facilities. We have no choice.
I agree with that, Commissioner.
Okay, so whether we own it or not is immaterial. We're required by law to provide it. So my question for you is this. Here you are, a county employee. You may be on a board, and on and on. But my question for you is this. In a way, you're criticizing those district court judges because you're saying that, in your opinion, it shouldn't be this way.
Correct.
But state law allows it to be that way. So I mean, yeah, you can try to create publicity along with Commissioner Ellis, but the point of the matter is, this is a legislative fix. Would you agree with that?
No, I think the legislature's already spoken. It's the law. It's required.
Well, then why did it happen?
Well, I mean, there's two remedies, and the commissioner mentioned that the commission can take away Harris County's funds. Now, that doesn't punish any individual judge. The other thing is I could bring a legal action.
Well, I guess you can.
Yep.
But as far as the commissioner,
I've been on this call since
you know, we can talk about
like 10 o'clock this morning.
Before, but I'm just simply saying that
It's 8:43.
people will do
Waiting
what they,
on them to call
I guess,
me.
have to do. But it's something that I don't think we're going to solve in a meeting, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, you raise a valid point. What we have in this county and many parts of this state is just such an intolerable situation. And being on the governing board of a county larger than 26
I got homework
states,
I need to be doing.
I just think it's so important that if nothing else, we speak out on it. And I think that's why you saw so many people marching and demonstrations that are still going on, because most of the changes, at least for me, most of the freedoms that I've gotten in this country came from people who were just bold enough to speak up. And that's why I encourage it and welcome your support on this issue. I've had it, by the way. We might disagree on a lot of issues, but on the need for a PD office and expanding it, creating a MAC, moving away from that old school sleazy system, people picking their supporters. You have been an ardent supporter of that, and I do appreciate it. But I for one just can't sit back and let it happen. Just point my finger to the legislature and know that it's just so difficult to make changes, and we could lose this money. And I want to make that point. I don't know what else to do. I mean, look, I've been in the minority all my life. It's not a big deal. But it's usually being in a minority and willing to speak up that has brought about most of the changes I've had a hand in.
Right.
So that's why I do it. That's why I do it.
Yeah, Commissioner Raddick, I think you're on mute. Maybe you were speaking.
Okay. Commissioner Ellis, I appreciate what you're saying, but, you know, I guess our best thing that we have in our tool bag is called 1-800-BETKEY. Okay, you can see what we can do. Okay? And by the way, we weren't supposed to change these shirts until 9 o'clock.
Well, hey, I wasted that coffee on my shirt. That's why I had to change. In a couple hours, we're going to put the pajamas on. Okay, thank you.
Lucinda, do we have speakers?
We have Jim Bethke unmuted.
Okay, and just before Jim, I'm wondering with this litigation thing, if that's something we bring from the county attorney maybe to discuss next time around. I mean, you know, if there's an option we haven't talked about, I'd say let's talk about it. I doubt it's going to be the panacea, but, you know.
I just think we got to do something, you know. But I'll see what the Bethke thinks and what the speakers think.
Commissioner Cable has a question.
Oh, Jesus.
Commissioner, we can't hear you very well.
Is that better?
Yeah.
It's that
All right.
microphone.
2 quick observations, Your Honor. The first of which is that I think that the sooner that we get that dashboard up and we have the light of day that's shining on what's occurring, I think that that's going to be a positive feature with regard to what occurs, because everyone likes to see what their numbers are. And as our public defender said just a few moments ago, a lot of the judges, when he talks to them, are surprised at what their numbers are, or at least as what his perception of what the numbers are. And so let's try to do all we can to get that dashboard up. Light of day and transparency sunlight, sunshine is a great sanitizer. So let's put some sunshine on it. Number two.
I think this is the first time I ever agreed with him.
Judge, it's getting to be close to 9 o'clock. We got some more things that we got to get done too.
Yeah, do we have other speakers besides Mr. Besky, Lucinda?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't we call up the speakers so we don't...
Will do. Nathan Fennell with Texas Fair Defense Project. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you. I'm a lawyer at the Texas Fair Defense Project. I specialize in improving the quality of indigent defense in Texas. My office gets letters from defendants all over the state, and including the Harris County Jail, with complaints about their court-appointed lawyers. And the complaints we get
Right.
out of Harris County Jail are similar. It's failure to communicate with the client, failure to visit them in the jail, sometimes for months. Lack of investigation, refusal to file basic motions. Those have been problems
Letters from
before the
jail.
current pandemic. The complaints come from folks who are represented by independent court-appointed lawyers. We have never received a complaint from someone represented by an attorney at the Harris County Public Defender's Office. It's not just anecdotal. Rigorous studies in Harris County have shown that the public defender outperforms court-appointed counsel in basically every meaningful, measurable way. We all have talked a little bit about how the Code of Criminal Procedure requires a priority appointment of a public defender offices with a couple limited exceptions, basically, unless you've got a good reason. And there are a lot of courts that are not following that, some that never appoint the public defender's office, and those courts are very likely violating the Texas Fair Defense Act. Often those courts are instead assigning the same small number of attorneys to hundreds of cases, far more than they can reasonably represent. Some folks in these circles know that close to a third of court-appointed lawyers in Harris County handle more cases than statewide guidelines say a lawyer can competently represent. But here's a piece that most people don't know about that. According to the public information from the statewide commission that I've analyzed in Harris County, those lawyers represent over 70% of the adult cases that go to the individual court-appointed bar in Harris County. And I want to emphasize that point because we're not talking about best practices. We're talking about minimum competence. And that means that if you get a court-appointed lawyer in Harris County and you don't get assigned to the public defender's office, there's over a 70% chance that your lawyer will have so many cases that statewide experts say that that lawyer can't provide you minimally competent representation.
Right.
The study that made it into the Times was referenced today. I won't belabor the point that the study that was actually published in the Duke Law Journal concluded that lawyers who get a lot of cases are often lawyers who donate money to campaigns, and that those attorneys may even get worse results for their clients than others. Priority appointment of the public defender's office is important, and it's also important for the county to consider ways while the PO and to make sure all defendants have the representation they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much. RoShawn Evans with Pure Justice.
Good evening, commissioners. Good evening, commissioners and county judge. My name is RoShawn C. Evans. I'm with the Pure Justice Organization, and I wanted to talk to you about the MAC Assigned Counsel, the MAC program. When I got sucked into the criminal justice system, I was 17 years old without parental guidance or any guidance at all. I thought there was nothing anyone could or would do to me as long as I was telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I was sure that my case would be thrown out, but my lawyer, when it came down to it, told me no one cared what happened or what didn't happen. No one cared to hear my story. The only thing anyone cared about was guilty or innocent. My lawyer told me if I said innocent, he assured me that I would get 15 years in prison. I literally wanted to break down and cry, and I felt like I had a gun to my head, forcing me to lie on myself to accept the deal in order to receive the most lenient sentence. I didn't understand why people weren't listening. I didn't understand why people didn't care. I didn't know American jails and prisons was disproportionately African American and brown. I learned about racism in school, but I had no idea about the school to prison pipeline. I didn't know there was a difference between free and paid lawyers. I was only 17. I was pushed into a plea deal because no one cared. I had no support. No one took time to hear my case. No one took the time to investigate my case. The state overpays the court-appointed lawyers and overload them with cases. The amount of cases loaded on the court-appointed, there's no way we can adequately receive the proper representation. Each lawyer should receive a minimum of 12 hours working felony cases, but how can a lawyer give the minimum time per each case if they have 30 cases per month? Just last year in 2019, 26 attorneys handled more than 400 cases, and one of them had 706 cases. In a 363-year calendar, that would give you 8,712 hours. If a court-appointed lawyer takes 400 cases, that's 4,800 hours out of 8,712 hours. That's more than half of the hours in a full year. If a court-appointed lawyer have 706 cases, and he did, that means this lawyer should have worked 8,472 hours out of 8,712 hours in a year. At what point does this become money laundering? At what point does the lawyers even sleep? According to the minimum hours expected to work a felony case, the guy who took 706 cases didn't sleep for a whole year. These judges fill the pockets of court-appointed lawyers with money, and in return, the court-appointed lawyers funnel money back into the re-elections of these judges for overstockpiling cases. I support the MAC. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have few more words left, and I didn't get through them, but I wanted to tell them this is why we need an independent oversight in the courtrooms with the MAC, because African Americans and brown people continue to be cash cows for not only Harris County but America, because we are born into generational poverty, and we have misdemeanor bail reform. Now it's time to decriminalize poverty by pushing this MAC. And that was pretty much it. So my name is RoShawn. I'm with the Pure Justice Organization. See you next time.